Hello, thanks for being in a new video. This time I have unboxing the OPPO Reno 12F 5G. Let's get started. This device is part of this Reno 12 series, although curiously, despite having the letter F, which in OPPO's nomenclature means that it is a lesser edition, in terms of price, it is replacing the OPPO Reno 11. Since the OPPO Reno 12 went for a higher price, and this one, which is the slightly simpler edition, took exactly the same price as the OPPO Reno 11. So I find OPPO's decision rather strange. OPPO has never been known for being a budget brand, and with this it confirms it. So, let's take this device out of its box. By the way, on screen you saw the reference price in dollars just to give you an idea, although remember that prices here are not the same as over there. So join me in taking the device out of its box. And that's it, I have the device here. Honestly, the rear design seems nice on its cover. Maybe the camera module doesn't convince me 100%, but it's not an ugly design. Honestly, it's nice. In fact, I like the design of this cover better than the Reno 12 cover. But always in a matter of design, it's also going to depend on each person's taste. But overall, I think it is a nice looking device. Let me set it to power on and we'll see what else comes in the box while it's powering up. And well, in this bag we're going to find the usual documentation, the paperwork, nothing interesting here. There's also the key to extract to the tray, and also notice that we're going to find a case that has a semi-transparent design. The curious thing is that it has a little embossing in this back area that's not only going to give it a different feel, but also a different display. Note that it is interesting the effect that generates image, and in this case, see how it would look on. Personally, I still like it better without a case, but at least it doesn't look like a very plain and traditional case, although you know that as time goes by, these transparent cases get a bit yellowish, which is inevitable. So in this case, OPPO still doesn't integrate cases with more advanced design as it does on its high-end devices. But let's see what else comes here in the box. In this case, it includes the 45-watt SuperVOOC charger. This is not OPPO's fastest power at present. OPPO generally has very high wattages. In this case, although it is indeed high power, it is among the simplest in OPPO's entire SuperVOOC series. But still, I would think it's going to give you a remarkably fast charge. But you know, we'll confirm that when we do the specific test. The cable is from USB-A to USB-C. And remember, you need to use this original cable if you want to take advantage of all the charging power that it's capable of giving you. So that's all that comes in the box. Let's focus now on the cell phone. And that's it. I've got the device set up here with me, so let's go ahead and give you a tour of its specs. We'll find a weight of 187 grams and a thickness of 7.76 millimeters. It's considerably thin and light, although it's not the most advanced thing out there, but it's certainly going to give you a comfortable user experience. Although it doesn't have a curved back cover, so generally devices that are straighter might feel slightly more uncomfortable. But being such a lightweight device, I really don't think this is a drawback. The screen is 6.67 inches on its diagonal. It offers us full HD plus resolution and AMOLED technology. In fact, we are also going to find 120 Hz in its refresh rate, and it has a peak brightness of 2100 nits when viewing HDR content. And overall, the display reaches 1200 nits. So yes, it is a considerably bright display. It comes protected with a glass called AGCDT Star 2. So while it does not integrate Gorilla Glass, at least we do know that it integrates some style of special glass to protect it. It also integrates stereo sound with a speaker below and another speaker on the top shared with the headset for calls. As a first impression, it is a sound that is simple and curiously integrates a 300% volume mode that increases the gain, although honestly it seems to increase more the sound of the middle frequencies, so it could be annoying in some environments. I would simply use it up to 100%, but that's up to each user. At least they give the option to turn it on or off. The front camera, very much in OPPO style, is 32 megapixels with f2.4 aperture and fixed focus. As usual, here is the preview before the picture was taken. Notice that it looked very overexposed in the background, but after capturing the photo, I think it improves a bit in that regard. I don't think I'm a total selfie expert, but honestly, it does give a good level of detail. Although getting picky, I wouldn't say it's 32 megapixels. It doesn't look that detailed, but it is a good picture. In the review, I'll tell you a lot more details. On the back, we will find 3 cameras. First, there is the 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture and fixed focus. Then there is the 50 megapixel main camera with f1.8 aperture and autofocus, although apparently without optical stabilization. And finally, the 2 megapixel macro camera with f aperture 2.4 and fixed focus. So let's take a look at the results. This is the main camera with auto mode. Just so you can see, it's a good photograph with a simple level of detail. I also took a picture with the high resolution mode to see if we can capture more detail. Although honestly, it seems to me that the result is very similar to what we have with the 12 megapixel photograph of the automatic mode. So I don't notice a real difference between the high resolution mode and the automatic mode. This is the main camera for your reference, and this is the ultra wide camera. So if it gives us a much higher level of breadth, it could turn out to be a useful camera. However, the macro camera, I personally have never liked it. In this case, it can give us a good level of detail, although the color and dynamic range in general is not so good. In fact, note that with the main camera applying 2x zoom, we could get a very similar result in level of detail, but with better color. So definitely that macro camera is useless to me personally, and in this case portrait photography is also simple, although it does allow us to keep the foreground in focus on some objects and blur the background. It is not going to give us a telephoto perspective of photography. Notice how it doesn't allow us to apply any zoom at all when in portrait mode. And considering that the OPPO Reno 11 from last generation, which is the same price as this device, did have a telephoto camera. I definitely don't understand why OPPO made this decision. This device should be more affordable. Also, in this case, it does not have the ability to record video. In fact, the front camera by default records HD video, something that is flat out unacceptable. Fortunately, you can upscale it to full HD. But in this price range, it falls far short. The battery is 5000 mAh and supports 45 watt charging. In addition, it also supports fingerprint reader inside the screen, so in several aspects I think it is compliant as the average device. But in other things, as I say, yes, it falls a little short with the price. It is not that it is a bad cell phone, but it is a little more expensive than we would like. And the advantage is that it has 12 gigabytes of RAM. This can definitely become its strongest point because it is not something so common in this price range. And you can also put virtual RAM that I personally consider unnecessary, because with 12 gigabytes of RAM I think you will have a super smooth performance when you have many applications open. So the RAM can benefit you a little bit despite not having such a powerful processor. So storage, this is another one of the highlights. I think it's a very good capacity. In this case, the RAM is LPDDR4X and the storage is UFS 2. So the RAM I think is fine. The storage maybe falls short in terms of speed. In the review, we will make several tests because for the performance of the device not only influences the processor but also the RAM and the same storage in certain tasks. So for now, as a first impression, leaves us a little bad feeling for the price. In this case, you can also put a micro SD, and just turned on the device marked as 24.3 gigabytes used. I think it's a bit high, but fortunately, as I say, it has a lot of internal storage space, so it does not represent a problem. And finally, the processor is the MediaTek Dimensity 6300. But to have a better reference, I'll share some benchmark figures. Notice that on a single core, it reached just 774 points. It is really a very weak processor in that sense. In multi-core, it got up to 1946 points. Let me tell you roughly what processor it's equivalent to from the Snapdragon brand. It gives us slightly better performance than the Snapdragon 680 but below the Snapdragon 695. If you don't know much about processors, this processor you could find it in devices that cost maybe 6,000 pesos, 5,000 pesos. So I think it's a processor that can definitely come up very short. Although many users probably won't actually feel that their device is running too slow or anything like that because of the large amount of RAM it has. Since the power of this processor can be enough to open everyday applications. Obviously, if your priority is gaming, if you are going to notice that it is a processor that falls very short. But I will give you more details about that in the video review. For now, I'll give you the score it got on Antutu, which is a graphics benchmark. It barely came in at 459,581 points, confirming that it falls very short in graphics power. So for gaming, it can come to be a very simple thing. I can anticipate that it is not a cell phone for those who want to play advanced 3D content with many effects on their cell phone, because it will not be capable. But this has just been a first look. I hope you liked this video. If you did, you know you can tell me about it, and see you next time.